Hi, this is Mr. Max. I'm doing grade 9 algebraic manipulation. Um, so this test is about like terms and removing of brackets and factorizing and then obviously um, working with fractions, maybe writing something as a single fraction. Anyway, let's just get right to it. So the first one says you must simplify the expression. So this is an expression, it's not an equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the like terms together. So just rearrange them, and then I'm going to then sort of simplify by collecting the like terms, by adding the like terms. The like terms are the ones that have exactly the same variable raised to the same power. So 2x plus 5x more gives you 7x. And here's the thing that you need to be on the lookout. I'm going to bring in the calculator. So the coefficient here is -1. So you have a -1 minus 3. Just the coefficients, you get -4. So you don't make a mistake. So minus y minus 3y is minus 4y. And from there on, there's nothing you can do. That is the final answer, unlike terms now. Again, let me rearrange here. I have the 2a cubed plus another a cubed. I have plus a squared minus 8a squared. I have 6 minus 9. Okay, so 2a cubed plus another a cubed gives us 3a cubed. And I have 1 minus 8, that gives you minus 7a squared. And 6 minus 9 is minus 3. Okay, right, so very important that you be very careful with the negative signs. The next one is about removing those brackets. It says expand the brackets. So from two terms, these are two terms. So you're going to multiply everything that is outside the bracket with everything that is inside the bracket. You might end up with like terms further. So this is going to be 2y squared plus 3y. That is, you multiply the y with each term in the first bracket. If you multiply the 5, you're going to get 5y minus 35. Very important, the positive times a negative. All right, so I hope you can see that we have got two like terms here. That is a 3y and a 5y. So we are going to collect them by adding them. So eventually, our answer is 2y squared plus 8y minus 35. All right, so let me just write that 8 nicely for you because it's kind of important to bring out that point over there. Here, you're going to do exactly the same what you did on top there. It's just you must be a bit careful when you come to the second bracket. So the first bracket is 5x minus 15. But when you get to the second bracket, because you have to multiply that -2 with everything inside. And a negative times a negative is where you're going to change the sign. So -2 times x is minus 2x. And here's the thing, a negative times a negative is going to make it a positive now. And that is obviously 2 times 8, which is 16. So very important. So this is 5x minus 2x plus 16 minus 15. Okay, so this is going to give you 3x if you subtract 5x minus 2x and 16 minus 15. Well, that is nothing but 1. All right, so there are those tricky scenarios that you have to be on the lookout for. Please do, so you don't make a mistake. Very easy to make a mistake in algebra. When you look at the second one, again, it consists of two terms, but do you know you're supposed to also multiply that 2a into everything in the bracket, and you will still have the same scenario where negative times a negative. So 7ay minus 2 times 8 is 16ay. And a negative times a negative is positive 4ab. Now, these two terms are like terms here, okay? So if you were to say, okay, 7 minus 16, that gives you negative 9ay plus 4ab. You could see things like we put a positive term in front, okay, and the negative term in the second position, it's still the same thing. So someone could say, okay, 4ab minus 9ay. Still the same thing, just remember. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So answer will be exactly the same. Question 3, well, here is factorization. Part C is particularly juicy. So here you have got two terms, and you are going to write it in one term by taking out a common factor. And the common factor here is x, so x comes outside the bracket. Inside you'll have 3x minus 2. That's all. Here you have got four terms which you then factorize by means of grouping. And grouping terms, they need to be in pairs. So it means that the terms, when you're given a lot of terms like this, they must be even number of terms. Like these are four terms, so it could be four terms or six terms or eight terms, because that's the only way you can work in pairs. So talking about working in pairs, so you're going to take the first two terms, the yp plus the yt, and y is common, and then you have p plus t, and you should get the same when you do the second one. That second one, 2x is common, and p plus t is what you are left with. Right, so you write p plus t in its own bracket, you write it once, and everything outside the bracket, you're going to write in its own bracket y plus 2x. Again, maybe worth mentioning, it doesn't matter which bracket is written first, okay? The answer is exactly the same. This one, as I said, is juicy. Maybe I'm just going to write down what it is. So this m plus k, please do not multiply the 7 over here. Don't do that first, okay? So what I have now is I have got something that is common to both. And what is common to both, this is a 21, is the m plus k. So I'm going to write the m plus k on its own. In fact, it's what's going to be appearing there. All right, so I'm going to have, let's just bring it in nicely, m plus k in its own bracket, and then I have got the 7m plus k here, and everything outside the bracket also in its own bracket. Now, the fact that I'm here, I have opened two brackets, and I hope you can see that. Just make it nicely. Just the way that I wrote my brackets there. Let's just do that for a moment. Okay, let me go back. So I have the 7 in front, and like that. Right, so m plus k, we know it will appear in its own bracket. That is not a problem, it's here. The problem is this one here. Well, I can write the whole bracket like that, or I can still do something there. And that something is, I can still multiply this 7 in this other bracket, because I only want two brackets to be there. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have 7m plus 7k, just correct that 7m plus 7k minus 21 in its own bracket. Okay, all right, so this is the way you answer that question. Of course, I can even mark somebody leaving the answer like this, but ordinarily, this is what we're looking for in this case. Question 4, well, you're supposed to write as a single fraction. Now, remember, when you're dividing by something, it's the same as multiplying by its inverse. So this is basically 4a cubed over b, divided by 2. Well, the whole thing is negative, okay? Whether the denominator is negative or the numerator, the whole fraction is negative. This is going to be multiplying by its inverse, which is 1 over 8. Okay, so anyway, 2 can go in here 2 times. All right, and maybe you can play around further. I'll just bring in a different color. This 2 can go in here once, and it goes in here 4 times. All right, I could have cancelled the 4s if I wanted. So at the end of the day, I have got the numerator up there which is negative a cube b over 1 times 1 over 4. So that gives me 4. I'm going to write my negative here. A cube b, sorry, not 4. So remove that 4. That gives me negative a cube b over 4. That is what I wanted to explain. So another student can write this, because remember this coefficient is negative 1 over 4, so you can write negative 0.25 a cube b, because here's the thing, negative 0.25 is the same as negative 1 over 4. Anyway, this is the acceptable answer. Part B, you are supposed to subtract. Now, here's the thing. You are subtracting fractions. You must make sure that the denominators are the same by finding the lowest common denominator of 12 and 18, and that is 36. So each fraction out of 36, all right? So 12 goes there 3 times, and that goes there 2 times in 36. So when you multiply on top, I'm going to have 15a now, and here I'm going to have 2a. Okay, so I'm only going to subtract the numerators. Okay, so just worth mentioning, you're going to have 15 minus 2, which is 13 over 36, and then the a can be there or it can be on top with the 13. So just to let me take that fraction, and I'm not going to include the a's. So it's 5 upon 12, take away 1, okay, I'm just doing coefficients there, over 18. You see, you will get 13 over 36. Can you see that? 13 over 36. But of course, I had my a's there. So 13a over 36, or 13a over 36, as long as this a is not part of the denominator. Okay, so that was the one that was maybe a bit, I don't know, tricky. It depends on your situation. Please make sure that you practice. Your algebraic skills must be sound, like terms, and make sure you are very careful when you're working with negative, by multiplying negatives or dividing by a negative.